taken from them, and they were told to abandon it. And that's it. That's it. Look at it now. So you don't find too many Ojibwe people who do not long for the day that we have this island returned. I don't know. And we have to have faith that someday we will get it back. A lot of money here. You can see it's going to be pretty tough to do that. So that's the story of this place.
When you say Turtle Island, is it because it's shaped like a turtle? Or?
You have to think, well, the story is not really because it's shaped like it. No, the reason why it would be called that is because in our flood story, when the earth was flooded, the animals and Winnebago were saved, first resting on a log and then on the back of a giant turtle. And when they went to get, as the water started to recede, and they sent different animals down to retrieve earth, finally when one brought it up, when the muskrat brought it up, it had a little bit of earth in its claw, and the creator took the earth and put it on the turtle and blew it around and created land. So that's why it's called Turtle Island.
But how would you know? How did they know that it was Turtle Island? Is it something that you feel? Is it something?
They were told that it would be the last place where the Miigashell would rise, and this was it.
And remind me, the Miigashell is something you had in your ceremonies, and what is that?
It's like a big seashell. It's a seashell. You can't think literally. You have to think symbolically. Yeah. Those prophets along the way of that, the fourth prophet said that we would eventually meet a light-skinned race. That the light-skinned race would show two faces, one of love and one of deceit, and that if we fell for the wrong face, we would lose everything. We would lose our religion, our language, our way of life. Many thousands of people would die. If you know anything about this country, you know that there were about 100 million or so Native people who died from disease and warfare as a result of colonization. So that prophecy came true. Our ancestors selected the face of deceit. The fifth prophet said that we would become lost spiritually. That came true when many people were Christianized and lost their traditional religious teachings, and that they'd be lost for generations. The sixth prophet said that the people would nearly die out, that the children would be taken away. The children were taken away and put in boarding schools. They would lose their land, and they would suffer for many generations. So when we drive through our communities today and you see the poverty, the suffering, the gangs, the crack, the heroin, you see that we are living out the prophecy of the sixth fire. And the prophet of the seventh fire said that there would be a new people, Ashki B'Marazid. These new people would have light in their eyes. They'd be young people. Ashki means new. They would seek to retrace the footsteps of their ancestors. They'd go to elders and ask them about who they were, and many elders wouldn't know or would be afraid to talk. But they'd continue. They'd try to retrace the footsteps of the ancestors, and you see that in within our generation as well. So the Ojibwe book is an example of that, and then the revival of language and that kind of thing, and practicing of our religion. Our religion was banned by federal law until 1978 in a country that proclaims itself to be a religious democracy. We couldn't practice our religious beliefs in this country until 1978. Isn't that part of the Bill of Rights? Isn't that like the second one or something like that? Freedom of religion, yeah, but not what it should have had in parenthesis, not for Native people, except exception with an asterisk. Well, anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah, and then there was an eighth prophet, and eighth prophet said that a time will come when a decision will have to be made about the saving of the earth. A key as our word for earth, A-K-I, really simple to remember, and that the light-skinned race will need to either heed the word of the indigenous people, or it will follow the route of technology, and which will lead to the destruction of the earth. That's our eighth fire. So that one, obviously, we haven't gotten there yet, but some of you folks have some decisions to make. That's where we're at.